All right, we're back. When last we left off, Francis Macomber has seen a great change in himself. He's a lot more confident now. He faced his fear with the buffalo and he stood his ground, and now he has become that Hemingway hero, that man. Things with his wife have also changed. Margot is not happy about this newfound confidence that Macomber has, and she's worried that she's lost her power over him. So let's see how it goes. Macomber and Wilson find themselves in the same situation as they did with the lion, but now with the buffalo. It is wounded and went into the bush, and now they have to go in and get it. But this time, Macomber is chomping at the bit, ready to go. So let's see how it turns out. "You might as well shoot the Springfield," Wilson said. "You're used to it. We'll leave the man-lyncher in the car with the Mem Sahib. Your gun-bearer can carry a heavy gun. I've this damn cannon. Now, let me tell you about them." He had saved this until the last, because he did not want to worry Macomber. "When the buff comes, he comes with his head high, and thrusts straight out. The vast of the horns covers any sort of brain shot. The only shot is straight into the nose. The only other shot is into his chest, or, if you're to one side, into the neck, or the shoulders. After they've been hit once, they take a hell of a lot of killing. Don't try anything fancy. Take the easiest shot there is. They finished getting out that head now. Shall we get started?" He called to the gun-bearers, who came up wiping their hands, and the older one got into the back. "I'll only take Kangoni," Wilson said. "The other can watch to keep the birds away." As the car moved slowly across the open space toward the island of brushy trees that ran in a tongue of foliage along a dry watercourse that cut the open swale, Macomber felt his heart pounding, and his mouth was dry again. But it was excitement, not fear. "Here's where we went in," Wilson said, and then to the gun-bearer in Swahili, "Take the blood spoor." The car was parallel to the patch of dust. Macomber, Wilson, and the gun-bearer got down. Macomber, looking back, saw his wife with the rifle by her side looking at him. He waved to her. She did not wave back. The brush was very thick ahead, and the ground was dry. The middle-aged gun-bearer was sweating heavily, and Wilson had his hat down over his eyes, and his red neck showed just ahead of Macomber. Suddenly the gun-bearer said something in Swahili to Wilson and ran forward. "He's dead in there," Wilson said. "Good work." And he turned to grip Macomber's hand. And as they shook hands, grinning at each other, the gun-bearer shouted wildly, and they saw him coming out of the bush sideways, fast as a crab, and the bull coming, nose out, mouth tight, closed, blood dripping, massive head straight out, coming in a charge, just like the lion again, you guys. His little pig eyes bloodshot as he looked at them. So, how do we think it's going to work out? Is Macomber going to run again? Is he going to stay and face his fear? Is he going to face up to this challenge? Let's see. Wilson, who was ahead, was kneeling, shooting, and Macomber, as he fired, unhearing, his shot in the roar of Wilson's gun, saw fragments like slate burst from the huge boss of the horns, and the head jerked. He shot again at the wide nostrils, and he saw the horns jolt again and fragment fly, and he did not see Wilson now, and aiming carefully shot again with the buffalo's huge bulk almost on him, and his rifle almost level with the oncoming head, nose out, and he could see the little wicked eyes, and the head started to lower, and he felt a sudden white-hot blinding flash explode inside his head, and that was all he ever felt. How about that? Macomber stood up to this gigantic charging bull. Wilson had ducked to one side to get in a shoulder shot. Macomber had stood solid and shot for the nose. How about that? Macomber stood solid and shot for the nose, shooting a touch high each time and hitting the heavy horns, splintering and chipping them like hitting a slate roof. And Mrs. Macomber, in her car, had shot at the buffalo, with the 6.5 man-lyncher as it seemed about to gore Macomber, and had hit her husband about 2 inches up and a little to one side of the base of his skull. How about that? Margot shot him in the back of the head. Francis lay now face down, not 2 yards from where the buffalo lay on his side, and his wife knelt over him with Wilson beside her. "I wouldn't turn him over," Wilson said. The woman was crying hysterically. "I'll get back in the car," Wilson said. "Where's the rifle?" She shook her head, her face contorted. The gun-bearer picked up the rifle. "Leave it as it is," said Wilson. And then, "Go get Abdullah, so that he may witness the manner of the accident." He knelt down, took a handkerchief from his pocket, and spread it over Francis Macomber's crew-cropped head where it lay. The blood sank into the dry, loose earth. Wilson stood up and saw the buffalo on his side, his legs out, his thinly haired belly crawling with ticks. Hail of a good bull, his brain registered automatically. How about that, even? Such the Hemingway hero, he just witnessed somebody get shot in the back of the head, and all he registers is, the size of the buffalo. A good 50 inches or better. Better. He called to the driver and told him to spread a blanket over the body as they stayed by it, and then he walked over to the motor car where the woman sat crying in the corner. It was a pretty thing to do, he said in a toneless voice. Would have left you, too. This is, obviously, a typo. Of course it's an accident, he said. I know that. Stop it, she said. Don't worry, he said. There'll be a certain amount of unpleasantnesses, but I will have some photographs taken that will be very useful at the inquest. There's the testimony of the gun bearer, and the driver too. Yeah, perfectly all right. Stop it, she said. There's a hell of a lot to be done, he said, and I'll have to send off a truck to the lake to wireless for a plane to take the three of us to Nairobi. Why didn't you poison him? That's what they do in England. Stop it, stop it, stop it, the woman cried. Wilson looked at her with his flat blue eyes. I'm through now, he said. I was a little angry. I'd begun to like your husband. Oh, please stop it, she said. Please, please stop it. That's better, said Wilson. Please is much better. Now I'll stop. So, that is the end of the short, happy life of Francis Macomber. Kind of makes you think about the title a little bit, doesn't it? That Hemingway. All right, kiddos.